So here I am live again, and I tried this paper out yesterday to just see what it was because someone had left it in our free bin, and I believe it's rice paper. Does this say rice paper? Or does it say toxic biologic wipes or something? One side is smooth, the other side is sort of rough. But I'm assuming that this is ink that's for sumi painting. What is sumi, you ask? Well, I have maybe an answer. And I had to look it up just to make sure, kind of, sort of. I bought this sumi box when I first moved to Boston, or I may have even brought it here to Boston, but I really only remember using it a couple of times, and the charm of it wore off. But maybe the charm will wear on now. So it seems like an awful lot of stuff to lug around in a wooden case with hinges and nails and a leather strap. But I was young once, and carrying things was not as difficult as it is now. This bottle seems way more sophisticated than I think it needs to be. This has some sumi ink in it, and these are other pieces of sumi ink. So what is sumi ink? It is ink made of soot, vegetable soot, and held together with some sort of glue kind of material. And to make it go, because you can't very well put this in a fountain pen the way it is, or put it on a brush the way it is, you take out your stone, which has a name that I forgot already. I just looked at a video a few seconds ago what it was, and you add water to the stone, and then and my water is in this thing, not in that little bottle. I should have put it in that little bottle. See why that little bottle is important? Oh, for God's sake. Where's the little bottle? You know, I'm an adult. I shouldn't be having issues like this. Here's the little bottle. Look how convenient this is, this little tiny bottle. Now we have to find a new piece of paper. So yesterday, in my interest in trying to figure out how to make these YouTube videos work for my building, I did some drawings with one of my neighbors, and then Russell joined us, so the three of us drew images. Come on, Peter Gustafson. God. You know, gravity is one of these things that you have to just remember exists. And when you have a table that's slanted, you have to remember that things roll downhill toward the center of the earth. Anyway, what we did was the three of us, Patsy and Russell and I, drew two figures from the Sistine Chapel. This was one of them, and this was another one of them. And it was a attempt at just showing how differently two artists can draw, or three artists can draw, or what are the similarities. So I thought, well, I'll try one with my sumi brushes. Now, sumi brushes and sumi ink they look like this. They're usually a piece of bamboo and some sort of fur on the end. And these are all used to make big calligraphic wording, or for doing drawing. And I don't have a huge piece of rice paper, so I'm not going to use a big fat brush, but I will use this one. Look at this one with its cute little wire holder honors. Harmony Squirrel Quill. Creative mark, trademark. Did a poor little squirrel die in the making of this brush? Maybe. These brushes came from one of my neighbors who had to move out of her studio because she needed to sort of downsize her life, and rather than throwing stuff in the dumpster, which is what some people do, she opened up her studio for residents in the building to come in and grab some stuff. So I take water in my stick. So what's sumi? Sumi, Kesh, is a solid stick of ink that you grind down. I'm doing this wrong. This is not supposed to be full of water. You put the water here and then you grind it down, and then you use your stick to shove the ground ink down into the pan. But because of my table being tilted, all of the water went down in there already. So this is probably going to be very watery ink. But if I did it correctly, you would see this brush be full of very dark ink. So let me see if I can look at what happens. Look, why is this happening? Why does this happen to me? So let's see. Now, if I was a calligrapher, you sort of hold the brush vertically and you make your letters. I don't know if you paint the same way, but maybe you do. And the paper, as you can see, is very absorbent. So maybe this isn't supposed to be drawing paper at all. Maybe it's supposed to be paper you wrap sandwiches up in before going to work, because this really is unfortunate. So let's just take this off. See, what someone who speaks the language, tell me what this says, because I don't think it's paper to draw on. Maybe not. Maybe it says do not use sumi ink. Okay, so let me find a piece of watercolor paper. Here's watercolor paper right here that I've already done watercolor on one side. So now let's do this again. So again, you make ink. I think when doing calligraphy, you want it to be very black. When you're doing ink wash, maybe you'd want it to be, if you weren't doing a drawing, maybe you would be more selective in how you do this, but I don't know. But I do remember using this ink, and I would use it on top of something I had already drawn with pen, and I would just fill in the areas that I thought I could, fill in with a brush, so I wouldn't have to do cross-hatching until the end of time. So, do I like this idea? Let me just play with the ink. Screw trying to draw the nude youth. We have some really, really fun construction. Well, not construction, destruction happening outside my building right now. And I went out to do some drawing, so maybe I'll bring a little table and a chair and my sumi brushes and some paper and see if I can draw what I was watching happening just with sumi without doing my pen and ink. So what do you think? Is this doable? Now, do I want to bring a brush as big as this out there? I mean, I don't even know. I guess it works. Pretty, huh? I need to bring a big can of water. I mean, this is for making a big sign. And I've seen artists use brushes like this to do huge calligraphic pictures. But they also, and they use a mop, an actual mop, to build their picture. And so I think one of the things I'm trying to do with my life, the remaining hours and minutes of my existence on this planet, is to perhaps use up some of my art supplies. Because why not? I could let my niece and nephew, or brothers if they survive me, throw this stuff out, or I could use them and then they could throw this out. Which is easier to throw out, the unused art supplies or a bunch of art? Now, what does this do? Is this a stick? This is, as often happens in art studios, coffee cans are used to hold the paint brushes. And so I think I do want to try these out. I mean, why not again? Why not just have fun? What I see out my window, I'll show you what's happening. I can move this without, there's a building. Hey, Schiavello. There's a building that's there used to be a huge building in front. And then behind it was another building. And the one in front was a modern-ish building made of corrugated metal and I-beams. The one back here is made of wood and bricks. And they're now tearing this one apart. So there's this mound of insulation and interior sheetrock walls and however, modern and old debris mixed together. And then behind here, you see the structure of the actual building. This is the aluminum one that was in front. And the one behind, okay, let's just, gravity is again at work. Behind, you see this built, we're looking, here's the wall that's closest to us of the building, here's the wall that's furthest, and these holes are for the wooden beams that went across the 3-story building. And here you have the flooring and the roofing kind of caving in there. So they're taking this building down pretty quick. And I thought maybe I should go out and see if I can draw it some more. Let me just find out if this watercolor paper here, I've been watching watercolor videos and I'm learning that, and I'm not, I know this, I'm not learning it, but I know that there's all different kinds of watercolor paper that are, some are shitty and some are better and some are worser. And I think this kind is the worser. It may actually be better, but because I'm drawing with fountain pen and then doing ink wash on top of it, the fountain pen didn't like this paper as much as it liked the other paper I had. So, but this seems to like it. Let me just try this. Make some more dark ink. And again, this thing is not meant to be on a slant. So let's pretend I was drawing that broken building. I'm going by memory. Here's the roof, sort of overhanging, and here's some of the flooring and the walls in between. Here, the front of the building was over here, and then there was a huge pile of trash over there. Now, let's see if I can, and here's my big old brush, which can fill up the background. Okay, go back to the little brush. So here was that pile of debris. Schiavello, how are you feeling? And then the light was coming this way. It was at sunset, and there was a big loading dock over here, the building that had yet to be torn down completely. Then there were ghosts of stairwells over here. And I think I want a finer brush, but I think the finer brush is just going to get me caught in doing way too many details. So maybe I'll save the details till later. Again, I'm holding it like I hold a fork. I think I'm supposed to hold it like I'm holding a I think I'm supposed to hold it like this. There was light hitting the edge of the wall. Okay, let me get this really dark. See, I don't do it the right way. I'm supposed to push it all down, but I'm just making a puddle of ink at the top here. This should be very dark. Yes, look, see, it works. And, when you have a really dark against a really bright white, like right there, that sort of makes your eyeball go right to that spot. My brush has 2 points. Sometimes my brush has a cowlick. And within this thing, there was occasionally a lighter, brighter 2x4 hanging down and things like that. So then there were clearly 2 floors here. So I think my plan is to go out and render this thing again. But oh shit, it's cold today. God damn it. I forgot it's cold out today. But they're going to be done with this will be torn down by the end of the day. So I have to suffer for my art. Oh, I have such a hard life. What do you think? Is my life hard? On the roof here, there were pieces of tar paper falling down. And over on this side, there were some beams. This is sort of the end of the wall on that side, with the distance behind. Some beams hanging out. Well, this is a mess, but it's my mess. It's a chocolate mess. So here I was drawing this. I drew this live. And this is what I remembered seeing. So my memory isn't all that different from reality, I guess. So that's my plan. My plan is to use some sumi brushes and sumi ink and this pack of paper and do some drawings today. And maybe by the end of the day, when I'm done, this piece of sumi ink will be half the size, and I'll have 20 more drawings that my niece and nephew can examine before they throw it in the trash. Here's a sumi brush that is yet to be sumied. I don't know if that yellow was supposed to stay there or not, but they all are coming undone. See? Quality workmanship here. Come on, get back in there. Yeah, these sumi brushes are made, the bamboo, the hair is, shoved into the end of a bamboo, and they are wrapped with wire or something to keep it all together. And this one clearly is not. There's a crack here that developed at some point. Utrecht. How much did this cost? Where's my barcode reader? What is the finest looking sumi brush I have here? This is not a sumi brush, but let's see how fine this one can be. I may bring some fine watercolor brushes out with me today too, to see if I can add some final bits. So I should go to the bank. I've got a couple of checks to deposit before my checks that I paid out come back as bouncing because I haven't replenished my meager funds with slightly less meager funds. But I am getting checks for the first time in many, 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 many months. I'm getting people to actually hire me to do things. And so that's good, I guess. So much for Sumi. That's Sumi ink. And so I will plan on bringing out these shortly with a chair and a little table that I can put next to my chair and next to my fat ass, and I can do some of these drawings. So that's what's on my agenda. What are you doing today, you people out there? Talk to you later.